As North India grapples with the ever-worsening cold wave, reports of train and flight cancellations are making headlines all over the country. The situation is particularly concerning when it comes to air travel. Passengers have been left stranded at airports from anywhere between 5 to 13 hours due to flight delays. Additionally, some passengers have also faced a rude shock while finding out that their flights were eventually cancelled while they waited. In order to reduce the plight of travellers, the Directorate General of Civil Aviation has issued fresh guidelines to airline operators. Let us in fact take a look at some of these, but before I in fact go up to the big screen, let me introduce our guest. Joining us on the show is Mr. Sanjay Ghare, CEO of Vervo Tech. Mr. Vipul Saxena, former pilot and aviation expert, also joins us on the program. Wing Commander Praful Bakshi, with us on the show as well. Last but not the least, Sanjay Lazar, former General Secretary of the Air India Cabin Crew Association, joins us on the program as well. I'll come back to you, gentlemen, but first up, let's see what the DGCA wants airlines to do at this point in time, because obviously what happened in the last few days has brought out a situation which is deeply concerning. The Director General of Civil Aviation has issued Civil Aviation Requirements Section 3, Series M, Part 4, for all airlines to be followed. The airlines are required to publish the reference of the civil aviation requirement on the flight tickets as well. This is a new rule which airlines will have to abide by. Airlines are required to publish real-time information regarding delays of flights on their website so that individuals who are about to board their flight are well prepared. Airlines must provide information in advance to passengers affected by delays via SMS, WhatsApp and email. Of course, airlines must display updated information regarding flight delays to passengers waiting at the airports as well. Apparently, none of this has been happening, and carriers must sensitize staff at the airports to suitably communicate, guide and inform passengers about flight delays. There were also a number of complaints about the way some of these passengers were handled. Airlines may cancel sufficiently in advance flights that are expected to be delayed beyond 3 hours. Apparently, this has also not been done. Obligatory on the part of all airlines to mandatorily adhere to the provisions of the DGCA, and the DGCA has issued Civil Aviation Requirements Section 3 Series M Part 4, and this is perhaps going to make some difference or not. That is what we are going to see until the next spate of fog delayed flights comes to the fore. Commander Bakshi, I'll begin with you, sir. Well, this is a deep concern. Not only are these delays bad for the economy, they're bad for, of course, the people who are stuck in this predicament. It is also an indicator of mismanagement. How do you respond to what has happened here? Apart from this, we've also seen unruly behavior by passengers. We have seen unruly behavior by the staff. We have seen, passengers sitting right next to the aircraft on the tarmac, which is a big security threat. Nobody should be allowed near an aircraft. Lord knows what they can do to it. It is obviously a security concern. What kind of a wake-up call, a rude shock, must the DGCA receive at this point in time to make sure nothing of what we have in fact witnessed in the last few days recurs?
Yes, Vinny, there has been a lot a lot of things have been missed out for a long time. We have been speaking about it. It is basically the responsibility which the organization should own up to and take up. The DGCA has a responsibility for coordinating all those aviation activities, that is civil aviation activities in the country. There is nothing called airline will do their own and we will do our own, nothing like that. This is just taking liberties with the procedures, and that's thereafter affecting the safety. Now, whatever what we have been discussing, there is a lot more monitoring which the DGCA has to do. Let me tell you, Vineet, the DGCA can monitor only if they understand the operations themselves. It is not that you can put anybody out there. If I'm a bureaucrat, you just put me out there and hope like hell that the thing will work out. The training of the airlines, the efficiency of airlines, the maintenance standard of airlines has to be directly monitored by DGCA in surprise inspections. That they never do that. Not only this, there has to be a coordination of entire airline and the airfield staff, the all information, whether it is ATC information, the Met information, which has to go to the civil airline, and civil airline are responsible to get that information. If they cannot get, they have to give in writing that we are being denied these information. That is why that thing happens. You suddenly you're say, waiting for 2 hours, cancellation, and something like aircraft not available, crew not available. So many things come which are totally disjointed. Why? Because there is a proper civil air operations coordination bureau that is required. There has to be a person who understands civil operations, who understands civil flying, should be having a bureau in the DGCA so that he's covering up the whole thing professionally. That they avoid doing it. For some reason, they just don't want to take it. It's like me, we refusing to sit on a horse and we're calling us as horse riders. That is what the problem is. So one thing we have to do that total responsibility has to be done. And that is why DGCA has to review its total doctrinal approach towards civil aviation. And let me tell you, more runways are coming up. We had started an operation, Indian aviation, military and civil have started an operation of building more runways. Now that aspect will play a very important role. If one runway is not available, how you can get other runways in emergency. I'm not talking of routine, but emergency, you can get things of that nature. And more professional approach has to be done. The academies and the organizations must create professionals on this job. You see, and then coordinating the discipline on the airfield, whether it is a discipline of the airline staff or the discipline of the passengers. I've seen airline staff knocking down a passengers on the tarmac. I've seen them, 2 people sitting on a guy. It happened with one airline. I won't name the airline here on your television. But this aspect has to be controlled. A total monitoring has to be done. I think the civil aviation minister has to first, it should start from him. He must understand the entire.
You're absolutely right, sir. You're absolutely right, sir. I completely concur with you. Let me also rope in Mr. Sanjay Lazar, aviation expert and lawyer, into this conversation. Sanjay, what do you make of this situation? You know, it is deja vu to all of us. It is something which has happened in the past, continues to happen. Of course, we have 4 runways, but only one is equipped with Cat 3, and that is why the concentration and the burden fell on one of them, and we saw these delays. So the problem and the predicament is multi-layered at this point in time. We are targeting, the number 3 economy in the world. We have to fix up our airports just the way we are trying to fix up our roads.
Yes, thank you, Vineet. First of all, I completely, agree with Colonel Bakshi, but it is the DGCA at fault. They've been sleeping on this for the last 3-4 months. Every year, at the end of the year, they have a fog committee meeting. The fog committee met in November or December. They decided fog timings will be till February 20th, and they said till 8 or 9 in the morning will be fog timing. First thing is, for the last 37 years I've been involved in aviation, fog doesn't leave Delhi till 10 or sometimes even noon. So that was the first thing. Second thing, the main runway 0128, which is sandwiched between the airport buildings, was put under repairs during fogs. So you've got only the 27 left and right operating, and the other one. So ILS Cat 3 doesn't really make that much of a difference if your main runway, which has less fog incidents, is under repairs. The third thing is takeoffs were a problem, RVR. The minimum visibility was not there. I want to know in 3 months, did they have any meetings? Did they have any, emergency team to look into this? No. The point is they were just sleeping, and the SOPs did not exist. I'm glad the minister has stepped in, and seeing the chaos that it has caused in 4 or 5 airports across the country. Mind you, this wasn't Delhi alone. This affected Bangalore, Pune, Hyderabad, Mumbai, or airports across India, because every flight connects to another city. So it's a cascading delay. So you not only had 4,000-5,000 passengers stranded in Delhi, you had them in Bangalore, you had them in Pune, you had them in Hyderabad, everywhere. So the DGCA has to reform itself. I will go so far as to say the steps taken by the minister yesterday evening are far-reaching, and I hope they will reform it. But I still see a lot of lacuna in that. It says the airline may cancel the flight. It talks of compensation, whether it's not clear on what kind of compensation you'll give, whether you'll give accommodation. All these things need to be looked at, and there should be a 24/7 team handling this, which is not there. I also want to point out that incident in Bombay where, I think somebody mentioned, or you mentioned, people sitting on the tarmac and eating food outside. And it is absolute mockery of international aviation
It's like a railway
security.
station, right? They've turned an airport into a railway station.
They've turned it
Or a
it's
bus stop or an ISBT.
Langar. I mean, look, imagine if the FAA looked at that, or the NTSB, or, the European EA. What would they think? Passengers just walk out of the aircraft, sit on the tarmac and, click selfies and eat food. Ridiculous. I mean, what is the CISF doing? What was the Mumbai airport authorities doing? Indigo, they should pull up. I think, there should be huge fines and penalties and suspensions involved, not the show cause and charge sheet. So I think there's a lot of serious introspection. And I agree, there should be a professional person at the top of the DGCA who handles it, who's a pilot or a Air Force staff or somebody who knows the nuts and bolts of operations.
Right, absolutely. Let me also rope in Mr. Sanjay Ghare, CEO of Vervatech, into this conversation. Sanjay, you have done incredible work in your field through artificial intelligence. You have streamlined a plethora of problems, that at the end address consumer ease. How difficult is it for the DGC, or for that matter, the government, to look at this, from a technological challenge standpoint?
Yeah, so that's a great question, Vinit, and thank you for having me. So I think, in addition to adding what Mr. Sanjay said and Colonel Bakshi said, first of all, I think, as Colonel Bakshi said, there should be overall ownership with someone and not in bits and pieces.
Wing commander.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah. So Wing Commander Mr. Bakshi said. So, if there is an overall ownership with someone, then implementing technology is easier. And I would, if I look at the entire mess, I always look at any mess is probably a potential opportunity of really streamlining things. So let's consider if we achieve, and we don't only look at this as one instance, but look at all the cancellations, all the frustrations, all these problems, for different reasons throughout the year. If we implement actually, I think three things. The first is clear and real-time communication with guests. As soon as airline knows something, it should be communicated. I think unnecessary delays, manipulated communication is the bigger problem than anything else. Okay, that's one. Second, let's consider the case when I'm booking a flight, or when I'm waiting from my flight booking to my check-in. During the entire process, if I can see the chances of flight getting delayed or flight getting cancelled, because from a historical data, from a weather forecast, there is always a way to figure out, okay, there is a 30% chance this flight might get delayed or this flight might get cancelled. This kind of information transparency would really help customers to know that, okay, what can happen with me. And the passenger slapping pilot is unfortunate, but these kind of things can be handled by clearly communicating things, because one set of things can be done to improve and fix the problems, but it cannot be avoided. So after clear communication, whenever the information is available, even well before the cancellation, if there is a chances of flight getting cancellation, if we started communicating through different channels, airlines directly, OTAs, about the potential cancellations also, that will also help customers preparing psychologically. And the third solution, which is important, I just experienced last week only when I was actually taking a connection from Pune to Delhi and Delhi to Washington. So let's say if the flight, my Pune to Delhi connection is getting delayed, airline already know that, okay, I have to take the next flight. If someone reach out to me telling about, okay, we understand you have a next connection from Delhi to Washington, but this is the time we are reaching. Think about the kind of comfort I would get. Because while waiting for a delay, so, I was taking a flight last week, which is 7:35 in the evening. I got updated at 7:30 that flight is delayed by an hour. I'm sure, if the takeoff time is 7:35, airline and everyone knew well before that, okay, flight is delayed. So I think again, all these communication by trying to understand the customer context and, all the gathering all this data and leveraging AI and prediction algorithms can really, change the entire experience for guests and travelers, in my opinion. And, it's a high time that should be looked upon. Technology can be built quickly, but a lot of this data is really with the authorities like DGCA. They have to take the ownership, like, Wing Commander said, and really work to bring these technical solutions in place for everyone.
Very good points, Sanjay. Very good points. Appreciate that. Mr. Vipul Saxena, you've heard from all the other panelists. These are solutions which should have been put into place, foreseeing that, the patterns in North India are very, very familiar to all of us. It's just like the Aam Aadmi Party not preparing for pollution when it happens in October, November, and we blame the government.
Okay, so let me give you a complete outlook how things happen. See, as per Indian climatology, there are two seasons which always pose threat to the flying operations. One is monsoons, and second is winters, especially in the North India and western part of India. And it is not unknown; it is known to everybody who is belonging to civil aviation operations. So I think first need is that proactive planning and some kind of operation team in place to monitor this kind of operations and see that everything is everything goes smooth. Second thing, DGC has got very well defined procedures, but somehow in this particular case, which has happened in last 2 days at Bombay or whether in Delhi, I think somewhere the coordination was missing. I could not imagine that during winter's time, the runway having a Cat 3 facility is not available. I mean, there's something wrong with the planning of whatever maintenance was required or some work was required. I'm sure this work could have been done either earlier or must have been done later on, not during the peak season when it is required. It's essential. Thirdly, about the passenger who misbehaved, that there are two aspects of it. One is that the passenger have gone through 12 hours agony, and then when they reached the aircraft, I heard that the pilot was changed and again flight was delayed by 1 hour. So that aspect also has to be understood, that how to deal with passengers and how to comfort given to the passengers. Yet I would not support the manhandling by passenger of any of the crew. It is not done. It is not allowed. It is illegal and criminal act. This time especially, what has happened is that during winters there's something called westerlies. So westerlies this time, as per the reports, have got little more diverted towards Indian part, and it has given much severe effects over the Indian land part, which has also caused a severity of the operation. That is why this time fog is extended much beyond than it used to be. So all these things are available to the meteorology department. They should have informed the airline. They should inform DGCA that whatever scheduling you have done, please recheck, please reschedule this, and don't schedule flying operations during these hours, because runways will not be available. Because see, with Cat 3 you can land with zero visibility, but then for takeoff you need minimum visibility of 50 meters, which will not be available. So when such kind of predictions, such kind of information is passed on, I'm sure DGC and airlines would have done something about it. So putting whole blame on DGCA, I don't think it's fair. It was a definitely lack of coordination, lack of interdepartmental sharing of information, and somebody to lead this whole operation as a responsible person to see that using those information, how this situation can be handled. I would appreciate the minister who has stepped in immediately, and also the new DG who is very proactive, and they come out with immediate few corrective measures, and those are appreciated. Despite the fact that DGCA already speaks about that if the delays by so many hours, then what airline is supposed to do with the passengers? What kind of facility they're supposed to extend? But only thing is, these are not being monitored. These are not being seen that whether these are actually being done. And somehow things that are happening because passengers are also tolerating. But I think now this scenario, this scene has given a big shake-up to the whole industry, to the ministry, to everybody. And I'm sure soon things will improve.
Absolutely. And Commander Bakshi, we've run out of time. I'm going to take a quick closing comment from you. You know, there are a number of cities around the world, Commander Bakshi, which perhaps have an analogous, a similar weather to what North India deals with, during the winter months. There is supposed to be a case study for, the shakeup that we have just witnessed. You can't keep making such mistakes every year in and out and, then expect, the world to come to you and invest in India.
Absolutely right. Vinny, this is not possible. That is why all our co-panelists have brought out this point very beautifully, that the coordination has to be done. I personally feel there has to be, for the next 1 year or year and a half, they must do an experiment with one of the major airfields where they must put all professionals from Air Force, from civil flying, and they must teach them how the airports have to be managed. It is basic management which is lacking. It's not a rocket science that people cannot know. It's there. But question is, they don't understand normal communication, normal giving the responsibility, standing up for your responsibility. All these things, accountability, that has to be, polished up. Probably a demonstration has to be given. But DGCA staff has to be fully trained. I have been telling it for years. It is not now. And I've seen it myself. People don't understand aspect of aviation and they're handling aircraft. So that is the problem which has to be.
Absolutely, sir. Sanjay Khare, one last comment from you as well. How can technology also be roped in to, get over this predicament that, is recurring in nature every now and then in North India?
Yeah, as I said, in addition to real-time communication, we have to use the historic data as well as the data, which is predicted about weather forecast, and use all of it to really have a predictive analysis and understanding about the potential delays as well, so that we start actually educating our travelers well in advance.
Well said. Historical data is going to give you patterns. It is going to give you prediction. It is going to give you, trends of what to be what to be avoided and what to in fact welcome. And that is something that, is a part of that technological clout that India enjoys at this point in time. Why not use that accessory? Would like to thank all my guests for being a part of this wonderful, incisive, and of course, profound conversation.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NEWSX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.